Agents need a baseline for them to consistently be able to hit their goals. And in this video, I want to break down how and what I've learned over the past 4 years with our business launching and how you can go out and actually execute on that information and the most important metric that we're now focusing on. My name is Trey. I'm the owner of Agent Lead Lab. And now we have hit our 4-year anniversary yesterday that we have essentially been in business. In this video, I want to talk about my journey, what we've accomplished, what's happened, where we're at, and where we're going, and why this is one of the most important metrics that you can focus on in your business. So as always, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All right, so let's hop into the video. I chose to do this style like this because I knew I was going to be sharing a lot of numbers. Part of it is setting a baseline on new agents for KPIs and us getting to 1 million a month. As you all know, I'm a raw guy. I think more about volume and numbers and like philosophies and just like videos than I do making sure everything's optimized right now. As we scale and grow, I will focus more on that. But right now, yeah, that's essentially kind of where my mind goes. So let's start out. For those that don't know a little bit about my journey, we've been in business. So we go big screen here real quick. We've been in business for, call it 4 years. How we got here, I was a life insurance agent at a company called Family First Life. I was doing about 20 to 40K a month. I stopped selling. I went to play in a league called the USFL. I played there for 3 months, got a little bit of debt that actually rolled up to me, being super honest. I got out. And then I was like, okay, when I was working and selling life insurance, let me kind of show you all what my schedule looked like so you can have a good understanding. Okay, so my schedule as an agent to get 25 to 40K a month, and it was a jump, and I'll explain why, was as follows. Okay, so I wake up at, let's just call it 4:45 a.m. All right, I would start training at 6 a.m. and then I would train from 6 to about 7 a.m. and I would do that on Monday. And actually, no, I apologize. I realized I was waking up early because we started dialing at 7:30. So I was actually waking up at 4 a.m. There it is. Yeah. I would actually start training at 5. There we go. 5 a.m. And then I would train from 5 to 6. So 5 to 7, 5 to 7. How this was broken down, the reason I said that is I would do on Mondays and Thursday. That's when I would train there. I would do speed work, and then I would do position work, and I would lift. So it was like super quick. I'd do like position work, then I'd do speed work for 15 to 30 minutes, and then I'd lift for 30 minutes. And it was like super quick in and out. That was Monday and Thursday. And on the other days, I was training at 6 a.m., 8 a.m., and then I'd have my, then it'd be like 8:30 to /9 a.m. would be my first appointment. Remember, we were going in person, right? And then I'd do that from like 8 to 8. That was my schedule, 8 a.m. to about 8 p.m. And we're not gonna spend a lot of time there, but that was my schedule. And I was cooked. Like my day was worn out, right? And when I say train from 7 to 8, by the way, we would start dialing at 7:30 a.m. on Monday and Thursday. And then we go in transition, right? And the reason I'm saying that is because I did that for a year, just right around like a year, a little bit of change. And then I went and played in the UFL for 3 months, got a little bit of carrier debt, made some money in the UFL, not a lot. Was like, hey, I want to get to NFL, hurt my hamstring. Long story short, I didn't get a chance to get picked up in the league, talked to a few teams. And I was like, all right, it was probably like, I took like a month off after I finished playing, didn't sell or anything, kind of got my vision right, aligned. And I was like, I want to take the money I'm making from life insurance because I don't want to keep selling forever. I didn't have visions of building a team because I knew that I wanted to get to NFL. So I was like, well, if I keep selling, all the people that are really, really making money have teams. I was like, well, if I don't have a team, let me go like use my money to invest in other things. So I started looking to like Airbnb, Turo, etc. And I actually went out and bought a course on private rentals. Instead of using Airbnb and Turo, you just get private rentals. And I realized quickly that, right when I got in the course, I was like, yo, I pay people online at the time. It was like Happy Agent, I think it was. And then there was another one called, I forget the name of it, non-medical term leads, Game Time leads. And I bought those. I was like, those are on Facebook. I'm like, dude, I think I can do this. So I started generating leads, went back to one of my boys, name's Wally Hawkins, super cool, super close. Not super close, but we've known each other for a while. We sold with each other, and I went out, reached out to him. I was like, dude, try these leads out. I actually launched as a pseudo company called Pharaoh Leads, which was anything. I was posting on Instagram, tagging people, just like screen recording videos, trying to do stuff, and ended up, not having any real success there. It didn't really work. And then I eventually was like, try to do a webinar. That didn't work. And then I was like, yo, let me just sell leads and make this simple. Start DMing people, reaching out to people. And dude, like the rest is kind of history. Gotten close to my boy Austin. He was one of the biggest names in the game, FFL at the time. And then, dude, the rest was history. I'll sell that to say, fast forward now, 4 years later, there's a big gap. I won't spend a lot of time talking about that because this is about setting baseline for KPIs for agents and how we're going to get to $1 million a month. We're at our 4-year anniversary of when that first process kind of started. And the most important thing I realized is that numbers matter. Like if you don't track numbers, nothing matters. So like everything I'm talking about, when you boil it down, if you don't know your numbers, you don't grow. I had a dinner with a gentleman 2 nights ago. I went to Nashville to visit one of our clients and we sat down. I'm actually gonna have him on the podcast. Brilliant dude. And he was like, man, I'm trying to figure out how to like get my agents rolling, blah, blah, blah. And we were talking. I was like, bro, it's super simple. You're spending this, you need to spend more. Like we just need to spend more. Like, let's just keep it simple. We need to spend more money. And if we can spend more money, then you can use the extra leads that you get to give them to your agents. So role play, right? Let's say the guy is he's spending like, I think it's 1.4K. We're just going to call it 1,500 to keep it simple. So 1,500 a week on leads, right? And he wrote last month 50K. I'm going to have him on the website, on here, just so you guys are clear. Okay. So basically he spent $6,000. Let's just call it equals $6,000 a month. He made 50K. So like an 8X, basically. It's kind of what we're looking at. 9. We'll call it 9 to keep it simple. Okay. So with that being said, this is essentially what I told him. I said, okay, you wrote 50K, you barely dialed, right? You didn't really dial. You were closing most of the leads that came through. What if we just spent double? And then you get, because he was like, well, I'm trying, not for me. He's like, I don't really need to make a lot more relative, but I want to get my guys up and rolling. I was like, that's what everybody wants to do. But the problem is people don't think in terms of numbers. They're just like, oh my goodness. I'm like, all right, bro. So let's see. If I doubled the amount of, let's just say we doubled how much we were spending in attempts to get double the lead flow. It's never linear like that. But let's just say we double the amount we're spending. Now we go from spending 6K to 12K. This is on a bad case. So let's now say he's spending 3,000 a week on leads to spending 12K a month. And let's just say he goes from 50K to not double. Let's just call it 75K. Now, relative on, I don't know what that is. What's was it 74? 6 versus 50 divided by 6. 8.3. So his return is 6. It's 2% lower. So it's like, oh my goodness, I didn't. But it's like, bro, you made $25,000 more dollars. Like, I don't really see like you made 70K, 75K. You know what I mean? Like you still made, let's call 75 divided by 12. I mean, yeah, you made 3K, right? Like 75 minus 12, but you still made. You made $13,000 more dollars. Now, not only did you make $13,000 more dollars, here's the biggest thing that happened. Forget the 13K. That's like a bad case scenario. Let's just say you just go up. You go from, you make 75. Cool. You made $13,000 more dollars, all in all. But here's the best thing. Now you have overflow leads that are going directly to your agents, right? That right there. That's how you scale. That's how you grow. You take all the leads you didn't close, you didn't get a chance to talk to, because he's already given. I said, you just start giving those away. Those are high intent leads. Now, when you look at the numbers, you're like, dude, bro, I just made $63,000 in a month. But you just start doing the math. You start playing the game. Oh, snap. Well, if I do that, then like how many more could I get? Now I have all these leads. Now, obviously, you can figure out what the cost per lead is, right? You're going from spending, you're basically doubling. You should be kind of relatively doubling the lead flow. So you go from doing, so now it's like, oh, I'm doubling how many leads I'm getting. Right. And now you can, but it's about numbers. I didn't know that before. I was just like, I'm trying to squeeze everything out. It's like, yo, instead of trying to squeeze everything out, why don't I just focus on these numbers? Why don't I just lock in on the numbers? Because that's the only thing that's going to allow me to grow. That's what allowed me to grow my business. That's how I was able to scale and grow. Not because I was like focused on this. I just started looking at the numbers. I'm like, okay, well, this is how much it is. Why don't I spend more on ads? Okay, it doesn't work. I'm able to see in one day how things work. Okay, I increased my spend. The numbers didn't really change. Okay, this is what I need to adjust. But now, why am I saying all this? You have to set a baseline for new agents coming in. He's not a new agent. He's not a new agent at all. And he doesn't necessarily understand and know how this is going to affect his business. So if he doesn't know that, then how are you as a new agent or someone who's trying to scale new agents up? You need to understand and realize that because you don't have any KPIs on the ones that matter, everybody's like close rate. Cool. That's important, right? Booked appointment rate. Cool. That's important. Dude, what's your cost to acquire a client and how much are you willing to spend? And how do you look at leads like a business? You're great at understanding sales. Now I need to get you to understand looking at it like business. Oh, okay. I can see that I could probably take these leads, give these leads away for free. I have an entire documented video breaking down this process. I have to go find it on YouTube. I spent like a 45-minute long video where I go in depth and explain like when you have an agent, you take all the overflow leads and you give them away, right? I'll go through an example quickly. Let's just say in this analogy that for $1,500, for $6,000 a month, we're just going to do this super simple. That each lead was, let's do some math. I'm not the greatest at math. So 6,000 divided by, let's just call it $35 a lead. So you got 63 leads, okay? So 63 leads at $35 per lead, okay? Now, let's just say that you spend $12,000 and your cost per lead goes to $38, right? Now you've got 315 leads. Is that right? Yeah. 6 divided by 35 is 63. No, that's not right. Hold on. 6,000 divided by 35. Yeah, my bad. 171. 171 leads. Cool. There we go. Now 12,000 a month equals, what was the other number? My bad. That's not good. 12,000 divided by, let's just call it $38. Matter of fact, let's be conservative and say $40. $300, 300 leads. Now you have 300 leads at $40 per lead. Okay, let's just say this is the math. All right. So now you go from having $12,000 at 300 leads at $40 a lead. Now you literally have 300 leads. Now here's the thing. You closed, and we have to figure out how many leads you close, but let's just role play and say that now that we're saying you're going to make 75K instead of 50K, which to me, now that I'm looking at this, is that's kind of trash, to be honest with you. Like if you spend 12 and you make 75, that's pretty bad. Like that's actually really bad. But anyways, that's like that's 1.5. That's bad. But we're just gonna say you do 75 and now you get 300 leads. All those leads you did not close, you can literally give them away. They're all text verified in this example I'm using, so you're not gonna have any bad numbers. So you literally have 300 leads. You've only closed, let's say 20 of them. Dude, you could take literally, let's just say you're closing 20 of the leads. You know, average commission is, let's just call it 2.5K. We wouldn't go lower. We'll say you close 30 leads, right? At like a 1.3. You're essentially sitting at, for 30 leads, 30 out of 170, meaning let's just call it, you talk to presented to 40. That's still 100 leads. Now, if you do 300 and you close double the leads, 60, you still have 250. Let's just say, dude, you still got you have 200 text verified leads. That's enough to fill one agent. 2 agents, I'm sorry. Every week, you just take 25 leads and break them off. Because theoretically, if you take 300 leads, let's do some math here to make it simple. If you take 300 leads and you divide it by 4, right? You're getting about 75 leads a week. If you just take 25 of your 25 off the top. Because even if you give them 25 off the top, you're still sitting with 200 leads. So if you give them 25 off the top every week, you're just like, yo, 25 to a top guy. You're basically blessing them with 25 fresh leads. Bro, there's no way that those agents can't make you that money back. And this is the thing about life insurance. This is how I think through things. It's like, bro, if you could give an agent who knows how to sell 25 fresh leads a week, let's just say they get 100 fresh leads a month. Remember, this isn't the analogy. I know if you guys have lost me, you just have to go back because I'm flowing right now. 100 fresh leads a month. The new agent adds overflow, from your 12K investment. Bro, you mean to tell me that this one agent for 100 fresh leads can't close like 10 deals? I think he can close 10. I can close 5. Let's just say worst case scenario, he's at a 5% close ratio. Let's say of those 5, average commission is about $1,000. So let's say that this person closes for those 5 deals only 5K. That's really bad. But let's just say he closed 5K. Okay. Now let's say that you're at a comp. Let's just say they're at 80. You're at 110. All right. So what's that? 30%. So you're making $300 essentially per sale. So 300 times 5 equals 1,500. So you're making $1,500 off the top of one agent closing 5% of 100 fresh leads. So it means if you give him a 25 pack every week, he closes basically one lead out of the pack, which is god awful. So if he closes one agent out of the 25, that's at 5%. That's really bad. That's 1,500. Now let's say 10%, which would be more realistic, just based on the intent of these leads and the numbers that we have. Okay, we're gonna now close 1K. So now we have 10K closed. Now you're at still a 33%. So 30%, my bad. This is 30. So now we're gonna do 30 times 10, and that's going to give us $30,000. Sorry, 3,000. So now we're making $3,000 off one agent who's closing off a 25 pack per week. In the example I gave you earlier, you're gonna have about 200 leads left. So now all you do is take this number and multiply it times 2. Guess what you got? 6K. You're like, what does that mean? I said 2 agents. That means 6K. So now what that looks like is $6,000 to you from overrides from your agents. And that's bad. I think if your agents close 20 deals and each deal is only 1K, you're getting 6K back. But that's the worst case scenario, in my opinion. Well, though 3K, because it'd be 2 agents closing basically five out of 100 leads, which is barely one a week, which I think is horrible. That's your immediate ROI. So essentially, you put 12 in, you make 75. Then you pay back 6 of the 12. So you really pay what you're paying right now, and you make an extra 15 grand. And you get them up and running, and then you get them to then reinvest, so then you can make more money. Because these are just the free leads you're giving them. I mean, don't get excited when you actually go ahead and, bless them with some other older leads or they're closing. I mean, if they write more than that, so it's like, then you get the compound effect of them make money, then they get set up on their own, and now they're doing 50K. And now you're at 100K. And now you're at 200K. And it's like, dude, you just get them to invest, and they make more, and they make more, and they invest, and then you bless them. Like, you feel like you're taking a loss, but you only feel like that because you don't know your numbers. Now, I say all that because I had an analogy that I figured out for my business, right? Like, where my business at, we're growing, but we're also realizing that from a customer acquisition side, we're really good at retaining clients, and we have really good leads that stick and people want to buy from us. We got the back end not figured out because nothing's figured out. It's always have to be. But the back end is like getting better and better and better. The leads are continuing to get better. We take ideas, we listen to our clients. We churn like any business, but it's our front end. And I say that because I don't know my numbers well enough. So I have to sit down and digest my numbers. Like, I know the life insurance because that's where I come from. That's my actual background. All this like high ticket stuff, it's the same, but it's also very different. Because there's the targeting and like getting the right leads in from that perspective is something that I'm just learning. So I'm hiring and learning and working with my team to figure that out. So that's going to be our job, is to get to $1 million a month. We're at like 500. We're sitting at 500. It's like we got another half to go. We're at another 500K to pull out of thin air and make happen, but we will make it happen. But I love this YouTube. I just want to let those who watch me, I appreciate you in my heart. Because this is my only opportunity to really come out here and just vent. I just get busy and vent. I say what I want, how I want. I don't care what anybody thinks. That's why I love it. I absolutely love it. And I know that this will blow up too, but this is going to take a long time. This might take me 5-10 years. Somebody might be watching this. It's 2026. Somebody might be watching this in 2029. You know what I mean? Like, yo, this dude was spitting back when he was doing whatever. Now his business is doing 3 million a month, 5 million a month. And we're gonna get there. I'm gonna keep learning. I'm a sponge. But you got to be like that too. If you're an agent, you got to know your numbers. I got to get back to kind of having these and the in-person ones where I'm like more talking head. I really enjoy these because I'm able to actually break down numbers and like walk through my thoughts. If you're watching me, let me know which ones you like more. I hope this video was helpful. As always, please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next video.